Malaysia is bracing itself for hazy days ahead as the weather shifts to hot and dry conditions in the coming months. Heng Kiah Chun from Greenpeace Southeast Asia outlines some of the contributing factors to the haze spell.
Most of the haze in Southeast Asia is caused by the peatland and forest fire, and there are peat fire in Malaysia and outside Malaysia. And transboundary haze is not just from Indonesia, it's also from other Southeast Asian countries. So for example, the reasons transboundary haze are directly related to the growth of monoculture agriculture in Thailand and in the neighboring country. So the land clearing for plantations cause all this peatland to become dry and vulnerable to fire. So with this deforestation and drainage, the water table is lower, preventing further carbon intakes. And once it's exposed to the air, and then all these peat soil start to decompose. So with dry out peats come in at the risk of forest fire, it creates more haze. And the return of hot and dry weather by El Nino phenomenon is making the haze situation even worse.
The haze has been a recurring environmental issue for Malaysia, dating back several decades. Heng explores several long-term solutions to effectively tackle the long-standing air pollution.
We have three solutions. The first one is restore peatland. The solution is fire prevention, not just firefighting. So protect, restore, and reflood peatland can solve the root cause of all this peat fire and even transboundary haze. And there are many organizations are doing it right now, and we need to do more. So we need to stop peatland destructions and start restoring peatlands. The second one, what company needs to do? Many global brand and company, they have a supply chain management policy that meets NDPE commitments, also known as no deforestation, no peat, no exploitations. That means that no implementing new development on peatlands, encouraging best practices on existing lands, but not all the company follow to these commitments. So therefore, company must stop forest and peatland clearance, start restoring peatland, and demand the same to their supplier. So the third one is what governments need to do. Government in ASEAN, Southeast Asian countries can work together to enact their own domestic Transboundary Haze Pollution Act. And this act was the first concrete step follow the ASEAN Agreement on Transboundary Haze Pollution 2002, an agreement which was ratified in Kuala Lumpur with Malaysia as its first signatory.
What measures can the public take to help alleviate this problem, and how crucial is it to have a Transboundary Haze Act in place?
The public can share in social media, start asking their member parliament to enact a law on transboundary haze. This is because a number of Malaysians' own companies were pinpointed for causing forest fire in Indonesia in the past few years. That is why having a Transboundary Haze Act can provide a legal ground to institutionalize check and balance to ensure that Malaysian companies are not contributing to haze locally and abroad. As we know, Malaysia tabled its own Transboundary Haze Pollution Act in September 2019. However, in August 2020, after the change of governments, the new leadership announced its decisions to abandon the act, citing the sovereignty concern and a need for ASEAN regional corporations. Actually, diplomatic cooperations among governments in Southeast Asia can coexist with law that hold domestic companies responsible for international misconduct that affect the regions. We can develop a two-pronged approach that combines diplomacy and actions-oriented accountability that would strengthen our government strategy in tackling the haze issue in the long run. The forest fire and haze pollution are man-made disasters that could have been avoided. Like what we can see right now is rich company got the benefits, whereas the poor people are suffering. This is climate injustice. So stopping forest fire and demanding clean air is at the heart of international climate change agreements.